Warning, this is part 2 of a 2-part video. So, I would recommend that if you haven't already, you watch the first part of this where I cover Final Destinations 1, 2, and 3 and rank their deaths in order of how much I would want this to happen to me. Also, I will be covering the deaths from Final Destination Bloodlines, the newest movie. So I would advise that if you don't want to be spoiled on that you probably avoid this video until you have seen it. But definitely watch that first part though, because those movies are older than most of the people watching. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I really was taken aback by how much response I got from that first one. All the comments, I really enjoy reading. And I love hearing everyone's thoughts on not only my opinions, but the movies themselves. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy this one as well. Because I'm going to go through the deaths of Final Destination 4, 5, and 6, and talk about which one I think is the most preferable. Final Destination 4, or as it's actually known, The Final Destination. Now, I don't know why they called it that. I guess, well, in my head, I was like, oh, was this meant to be the final movie at some point? But I can't find any proof of that online. It is also generally regarded as the worst of these movies, and that checks out. This is represented greatly in the inciting incident for this movie, which takes place at an American speedway. You know, like NASCAR, a true American pastime. The main protagonist, Nick, notices that the stadium seating is kind of old and fragile. Anyway, some of the pit crew leave a screwdriver in one of the cars, which drops onto the track, and it eventually pops a car tire, which causes the vehicle to spiral out. This starts an insane car pile-up. Tires, engines, everything is flying into the crowd and killing people. And all of this causes the stadium to fall down and trap everyone in the firing range. I should stress that this movie is in 3D, so just about every kill looks pretty horrible, because it's trying to poke out into the audience, you know? I'm sure this looked bad in 3D, but it looks really bad in 2D. This was not what I expected. It goes without saying, but this doesn't come close to the Emmerdale pile-up. Would I want this to happen to me? I don't know. One of the survivors of the speedway crash is a racist truck driver, who is of course trying to blame a black guy for his wife dying in the accident. Now I know what you're thinking. How am I so confident that this guy is a racist? Aren't I just jumping to conclusions a little bit here? Well, I noticed an extremely subtle clue that hints towards this man's true intentions and sensibilities. Can you tell what it is yet? Also, he is referred to in the script as racist. I'm not kidding, like his name in the script, whenever he's around, is racist. But you know what's worse than being credited as a racist? Being credited as a racist wife. I mean, look, the racist is bad. You know, he's a bad guy. But he has a defining characteristic, individual to him. Her defining characteristic is being married to a guy. And he's a racist. Tough break. Late at night, he goes to burn a cross on his enemy's lawn, and whilst he's doing this, a little horseshoe falls off his rearview mirror, and the tow truck just starts moving on its own. It also turns the radio on, which starts blasting War's iconic tune, Why Can't We Be Friends? You know Smash Mouth did a ska cover of this back in 1997? Go listen to it now. Because this is the Final Destination universe, gas canisters in the back of his truck start leaking, and the racist is like, hey, come back! Stupidly, he stands right in the path of his tow hook, which sweeps him off his feet and drags him through the street. The sparks from the chain, scraping on the gravel, lights up the gas into a burning flame, and eventually the van explodes. In 3D! Not much to really say about this one, except for one thing. I am not a racist, so later when I'm putting myself in this situation and deciding how much I would want it to happen to me, let's just say that instead of trying to burn a cross on this guy's lawn, that I was, I don't know, Christmas caroling, or trick-or-treating, something nice. This woman, who is referred to in the script as MILF, is getting a haircut. This one is full of fake-outs. Conditioner gets spilled on the floor so her kids slip up, doesn't kill her. Hair straighteners start hitting up a hairspray can, which explodes, doesn't kill her. Faulty ceiling fan falls from the ceiling, doesn't kill her. Anyway, she gets her haircut, and a rock gets launched by a grass trimmer and goes right through her eye. I got nothing to say about this one, it's a pretty nothing death. R.I.P. MILF. This one might be my favorite kill from this movie, not because I think it's incredible cinema, but because it's so stupid. The survivors go to warn a mechanic that he is next in the killing order. He has to talk to them from one side of a fence because they're not allowed to be in the auto shop, I guess. Anyway, you know the drill. A van is broken free from its suspension and it starts rolling down the hill towards the mechanic. You think he's gonna get crushed, but thankfully the van stops just in time and he makes it out of there unscathed. Anyway, a CO2 canister flies into him and he gets turned into chunks by the metal gate. I'm not kidding, his torso gets turned into chunks. Was this gate made of fucking swords? I don't really know how far-reaching this one is. Like, I genuinely don't know if this one is like completely impossible or if there's like some truth to it. Either way, it looks ridiculous. I wish Mythbusters had made an episode on this because I could really use their knowledge right now. You know, I've expressed previously that I wouldn't mind being turned into chunks, but not like this. I don't think I'd be happy with this. Oh, and I forgot to mention, but the chunks, of course, are in 3D. Nick's douchebag friend is at a country club, chilling by the pool. There's an annoying brat with a water gun who is referred to in the script as Water Gun Brat, and after getting annoyed by him, the douchebag steals his gun and pops his Lido. He puts his gun on top of some machinery, not realizing that the gun falls off and activates the pool draining procedure. A rogue golf ball hits the douchebag and it knocks like his lucky penny into the pool or something, I don't know. The douchebag swims in to try and rescue his penny and he goes right to the bottom but gets caught in by the suction of the drain. Let's just say he gets completely disemboweled. This one is really gruesome, but on the other hand, all this for a penny? Stupid douchebag. This happens at the same time as a girl almost being killed by a car wash, but she gets saved at the very last minute. Too bad though, I think it'll be pretty fun dying in a car wash. The remaining survivors find out that there is someone else who died in the premonition that they didn't know about, who is currently in the hospital recovering from injuries. Unfortunately, on the floor above him, there's a guy getting a bath, like a really old guy who can't move. The nurse stupidly does not turn the water off, so the bath water starts slowly filling the room, and it floods. Anyway, I don't even need to explain this one, do I? He gets crushed by a bath. This one would suck extra hard, because the man is basically immobile already, and in immense pain. To be crushed by a bath on top of that, humiliating. The nurse who didn't turn off the bath is completely to blame. He has blood on his hands, and never faces any repercussions. Nick and George, two of the survivors who just went to the hospital to try and save the bathtub guy and obviously failed, leave the building and they're just having a standard conversation. Out of nowhere, George gets run over by an ambulance. Visually, this is one of the worst kills in the entire franchise. The green screening is so obvious, it looks straight to video. Now, I need to say that these next kills take place in a premonition, similar to the start of the movie, so they don't actually happen, but one of them is the dumbest kill in the whole movie. So, the two surviving girls go to the mall, they want to watch a movie, sure, whatever. Behind the movie screen, there's a bunch of oil canisters and tons of big barrels that just say spontaneously combustible on the front. Anyway, Nick goes to the cinema and tries to warn the two girls because of the new premonition, but only one of them is convinced by him and chooses to leave, because the other one, and I'm not making this up, says, "You're both nuts, this is where I was supposed to be, I was meant to see this movie." The movie screen immediately blows up and kills her. Keep in mind, this is the girl who was almost killed in a car wash earlier, so if anyone should be a little superstitious about dying unexpectedly, it should be her. I love this one so much, it is painfully dumb. The explosions are destroying the entire mall, so Nick and the other girl, Laurie, have to escape. But as they're going down an escalator, it gets demolished with them on it, exposing the mechanism of the escalator and leaving Laurie hanging on the side of it. Nick tries to pull her up, but the escalator swallows her and crushes her leg in brutal fashion. I wish there was more setup to this one. I've always wanted to see a creative escalator kill. I mean, I don't hate it, but like I said, I just wish it had more of a traditional kill setup. But thankfully that didn't really happen. Nick saw all of that in a vision and goes to the mall before the fire could hit the combustible tanks. What a conquering babyface. Anyway, they go to the cafe to celebrate not dying, but as always, someone's like, Wait, what if we weren't meant to survive? Anyway, the three get rammed by an 18-wheeler that crashes into the cafe. This death is notable for, randomly I may add, switching to X-ray vision. Like, they all become shitty CGI skeletons and they get flung around during the impact. The people making this probably thought this looked super cool in the editing room. And the very last shot shows a tooth fly out of one of the skeletons towards the audience in 3D. I love you, 2009 slop. Even though the last film was called The Final Destination, it was not the final movie, as we saw the release of Final Destination 5, or as I call it, Final Destination, in 2011. Honestly, this movie is sort of a return to form for the series. I don't think it's perfect, but it is so much better than that previous one. You know, now that I think about it, why wasn't this one called The Final Destination? It's a film that does more to link it to the other ones in a more conclusive way, and it was also the last movie for well over a decade, so it really would fit as being the final destination. So the film begins at some corporate office where a bunch of co-workers are going to go on a work retreat. They really do capture that horrible, soulless corporate working environment really well here. Everyone is there. The stupid, overbearing, annoying-ass co-worker who just won't leave you alone. There's the hot babe. There's the Jobsworth, the generic guy, and the guy who just can't catch a break. Do work retreats like this really exist? Is it just like an American thing? Has this ever happened on UK soil? I don't know. The main guy, Sam, has a friend who is the spitting image of Tom Cruise, and he talks just like him as well. Anyway, they take the bus out of the city, which means crossing the North Bay Bridge. Oh, and hey, it's the logs from Final Destination 2. That's a nice little Easter egg for fans of the series. Uh-oh! This bridge is about to crash because of high winds! The bridge collapses and everyone dies in increasingly ridiculous ways. Now, most of the people just fall off of the bridge. Some get impaled in 3D. Yeah, we're still doing this. And some... Look, for the inciting incidents, I've been just counting the whole event as one death, because I feel like I'd be splitting hairs, there'd be too many options, and most of them do end up being quite similar. But something happens during this one that means I do have to sort of break my own rule here. So their boss is knocked to the edge of the bridge, and he's hanging for dear life, and a container with boiling asphalt concrete mix falls over and and splashes the boss from head to toe in boiling hot asphalt. Must have been excruciating. He's a bit of a dick, but he doesn't do anything to warrant this. Anyways, this one just always sticks out to me, so I am gonna make it its own kill. The way the bridge crashes is completely unrealistic, but the notion of falling off a bridge is something that could very well happen in real life. The girlfriend of Tom Cruise Jr. is practicing her gymnastics. She's practicing on the high beam. Oh god, no! A faulty screw falling from the ceiling. Oh god, oh wait, she completely missed it. She moves on to the bars and she's swinging around all willy-nilly. There's all this tension that the bar is going to come loose horrifically. Thankfully, that does not happen though. Instead, someone else steps on the nail, falls off and knocks over a fan, which blows a bunch of chalk over, blinding the gymnast, and she eats shit. She splats flat on the ground and breaks like every bone in her body. She takes the goddamn Brock Lesnar bump. It's pretty bad. I'm not a gymnast, so there's no way this could happen to me. Not a racist, not a gymnast. Some asshole starts stealing things around the office, one of which is a free pass to a Chinese acupuncture massage parlor. He shows up and he gets a little bit more than he bargained for. Anyway, the incense in the room somehow falls on a pile of towels, which bursts into flames. Anyway, the guy is scared and his bed breaks. Obviously, he's full of the acupuncture needles, so he falls directly on them. Ouch. When the bed breaks, it knocks a bottle of alcohol on the floor as well, because, you know, Final Destination loves evil liquid. Anyway, his phone starts ringing, and it knocks off a candle from the shelf. Naturally, because of the alcohol, the whole room starts to burst into flames. But in a subversive twist, he avoids the fire. Yippee! Anyway, a Buddha statue falls off a shelf and crushes his head. The hot glasses girl is going to the eye clinic because, in her words, she doesn't want to miss anything. In the big bridge disaster, she died because of her having a little Velma moment and not being able to see without her glasses, so it does make sense that in this horrible deaf world, she would want to ensure that her vision is perfect. So her solution is laser eye surgery. Once again, laser eye surgery. Anyway, she gets in the chair and the doctor puts her eye in this horrible metal clasp thing so that it stays open. He gives her this teddy bear for comfort, I guess, but she hugs it so tight that one of the eyes pops out. But the laser eye guy is like, shit, these files are incomplete. I guess I'm gonna have to go to another room and get these files updated so that they're accurate. I'm just gonna leave you in this machine. I'm sure nothing bad will happen. Surely you would take her out of the clasp, but no, he just leaves her there. All of the classic Final Destination tropes pop up in this one. Evil water, outlet gets wet, machine goes way higher than the recommended wattage. Just as she fears, the machine starts blasting lasers out and her eye is right in the firing range. This was one where even I was a bit disgusted. She tries to guard her eye by putting her hand over it, but the laser just shoots through it and now she's got a hole in her hand too. Eventually, she just has to rip herself from the machine, and just when the survivors come in to try and save her, she slips on the teddy bear eyeball from earlier and falls out the window. I will say, these are the most effective Final Destination kills. The ones where the characters are in an everyday situation that people already have anxiety regarding, like roller coasters or tanning beds, and it just becomes a complete nightmare. Like, every irrational concern that you could possibly have ends up coming true. It's why the movie Explosion is so silly. Like, have you ever met anyone who's been like, movies! Also, there's no fake out here. Like, it sets up the kill and it happens how you expect. I love to see that. Now, this is where the movie gets interesting. One of the survivors, Nathan, is working in the company factory and he's having an argument with a particularly angry co-worker. Nathan realizes that there's a hook above them and it's probably gonna kill him, and he's like, hey, we gotta move, we gotta get out of the way. They have a little shoving match, and when the hook falls down, the co-worker falls through and he gets caught on the hook, killing him immediately. This kill was notable though because it's when the main cast realize that if they kill another person, accidental or not, they will take their place in life and cheat death. Also, the way that they realize what's going on is because their boss comes down to check what was happening with the hook guy, and as soon as he gets down there, a wrench flies into his head and kills him right away. The boss was meant to die after Nathan, but since Nathan was skipped, this guy got wrenched. The next one is, well, let me explain. So the Tom Cruise looking guy is being driven insane by the prospect of killing someone to secure his life. He's still quite salty about his girlfriend dying, you know, the gymnast. She took the Brock Lesnar bump. Sam's girlfriend, however, is alive, and she never actually died in the premonition. So Tom Cruise is gonna kill her and reclaim his life. He pulls a gun out on her at the dinner table. He pulls a gun out. Just out of nowhere. Where did he get that? This results in a big scuffle at the restaurant which Sam works at. It's hilarious because Tom Cruise is actually making sure the place is as hazardous as possible. He's switching on all the fryers. You know, I like someone becoming aware of how hellish this death universe actually is and sort of using it to their advantage. Sam fights back, but Tom Cruise pistol whips him and Sam is out cold. But it's not Sam or his girlfriend who dies next. It's actually the FBI officer who's been tailing Sam the whole movie. This is something that hasn't been done since the first movie, and I actually think it's quite refreshing, because you know, you would find it a bit suspicious if someone predicted this event and it happens right in front of him, you know? Anyway, he shows up because he knows that something's going down, and he's like, hey, is everyone okay? And then Tom Cruise just shoots him. No elaborate deep fat fryer accident, he just shoots him. It's definitely the most realistic kill in the whole franchise. I'm not going to include this one. Just doesn't sit right with me. you know, I know that in real life, I still could fall out of a roller coaster. It's still something that could happen. I'm looking at this from like the mystical forces of death, not, you know, homicide. Tom Cruise has cornered Sam's girlfriend after a huge kitchen brawl, but at the last second, he is stabbed through the chest with skewers, I guess? Oh yeah, it's in 3D as well. Wait, what are you talking about? The plane was the first Final Destination kill. They can't possibly... Wait, is Final Destination 5 a secret prequel to the first Final Destination movie? Yeah, it is. The last two survivors are going on a trip to France, of all places, and when they board the plane, all of the commotion from the first movie starts happening, with Alex and the bully. It all happens a row across from them. After the troublemakers are removed, the plane takes off and... well, you know how this goes. I was genuinely quite surprised when this happened. I was like, what the hell is going on? And it's really fun. Like, it's a real fun treat for people who have watched all the movies. Nathan's alright though, he's just having a drink. He's then immediately crushed by the plane. We're finally at the most recent film in the Final Destination series. I saw Final Destination Bloodlines on its opening night and I really enjoyed it. I'm happy to say that as far as Final Destination movies go, it is very good, but it is also very new. What this does mean is that I don't necessarily have access to clear images of every scene, not even close. But I really do want to include this movie in the overall rankings, so just so you don't have absolutely nothing to look at, I've decided to painstakingly recreate any of the scenes that I couldn't get a screenshot from. To be honest, I've shown these recreated scenes to test audiences who have said that they can't even tell the difference between my recreations and the real thing, and I doubt any of you will notice either. Anyways, the inciting incident of Final Destination Bloodlines is set in the past. A couple from the 60s are having a lovely evening atop the Skyview Tower. This lady is called Iris and she is the POV character here. They go to the top and profess their love for each other. Iris even confesses that she's pregnant. This is great news. They go back inside to do some dancing. You know, when you're up in a really tall building and they have those glass floors, and you're just thinking, what if this thing collapsed? Well, that's exactly what happens. A bunch of people fall through the glass to their dooms. Things just escalate from there. People are getting crushed by pianos, being set on fire, sliced by elevators, and not like in Final Destination 2, I mean like, bisected, like fully, you know, through the middle. There is a lot going on in this one. Everything is pretty brutal. Stephanie is the main character of this movie, and the inciting incident is haunting her dreams. In order to pursue this, she tries to locate her grandmother, who was Iris in the initial incident. Anyway, Steph tracks down her grandmother, who lives in like this little fortified shack in the middle of nowhere to sort of keep away from death, and she asks her grandmother about the incident. Turns out she actually saved a few people from perishing that day, and has been surviving death for decades, while others have been taken as they were fated to. She's very clued in to how death works, and she has this big binder of facts and tricks and little Easter eggs. It's kinda sweet, actually. Anyway, Stephanie gets a bit freaked out by her crazy granny, and is like, yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. But the granny is like, please take my book with facts and tricks and Easter eggs of how to avoid death. And she cares so much about this that she takes the first step outside of her house for God knows how long, and immediately she is impaled by a weather vane. You know, those things. They're on top of the houses, you know? Anyway, she's impaled, like we've seen this before. This one is simple, but it is kind of cool, because Iris is willing to sacrifice her own life in order to show Stephanie that the curse is not only real, but to also give her hope that possibly she can break it once and for all. We all know I love barbecues, so you can imagine my delight when I saw the family grilling up a storm. I hope to God it would not end as catastrophically as the barbecue from Final Destination 2. Anyway, a shard of glass falls into the icebox, and you think, oh no, someone's gonna drink the glass by accident. It does not happen. The guys are playing on the trampoline and there's a rake underneath it. Surely someone is about to get pierced. Does not happen. Maybe for once in this universe we can just enjoy a yummy burger. The dad then steps on the shard of glass. He falls flat on his back, which causes a chain reaction, setting off a lawnmower, which makes a beeline for his head. I don't know, I wouldn't really want this to happen to me, especially at something that should be a really fun event. Like, at least the first kid just blew up, you know? It looked sensational, you know? Like, it was a real spectacle. This is just horrifying. The guy who looks like Bam Margera is at the job in his tattoo parlor. He's closing up the shop. Through an unfortunate chain reaction, a chain gets caught up in his nose ring. Things go from bad to worse as evil liquid causes the place to set on fire as he's still hooked to the ceiling fan. Oh, it's terrible. But he doesn't die. I can't lie, I was sort of disappointed because in my head, I've always wanted some sort of tattoo-related death in a Final Destination movie, but I was not disappointed after what happened next. Stephanie and her brother are talking to Bam about how they thought he was dead, and Bam's like, oh, don't be ridiculous. We're not gonna die. In the background, one of the other family members, Bam's sister, is she's hit by a football and she falls in a bin. The garbage truck picks her up and chucks her in. Oh no! The others notice and are like, hey, stop the truck, stop the truck. She's desperately trying to get out. She's struggling. You think she might get out, but she is crushed. Really loved this one. You know, just a terrible way to go. And really comedic, you know? the way she gets hit by a football is so cartoonish. Okay, this next one is potentially my favorite kill of the whole series, no joke. So Bam and his brother, Bobby, are at a hospital after learning that reviving someone after they flatlined can actually disrupt the order and potentially end Death's pursuit. This is done in a really lovely scene with Tony Todd, who I've glossed over in these videos. But don't let that confuse you, he is such an integral part of these movies, and it's an understatement to say that he is going to be missed. You know, he is fantastic every time he appears in this series, and I really do love him. Rest in peace to a legend. Anyway, Bam's brother has a peanut allergy, so Bam has the clever idea of feeding him a Reese's cup, causing him to die, and then resuscitate him to bring him back. What a wonderful idea that will not backfire at all. So they go to a hospital room to eat the Reese's cup, but they don't realize this huge MRI machine behind them. The MRI machine turns on, and not just that, but the magnetic pull of the MRI machine is just going up and up and up, and it's not slowing down. Before it's too late, Bam's phone sticks to the machine. It's okay though, they can just get out of there and tell somebody to turn it off. Unfortunately, Bam has a lot of piercings. Nose, ears, cock? The pull of the magnet is so hard that Bam is being forcibly pulled into the MRI machine and he can't get out. He's being like shoved into the hole in excruciating fashion. It's brutal to watch. And his brother can't even get him out because he's having his allergic reaction as planned and is legit dying. Even worse, Bam gets rammed in the back by a wheelchair, which impales him and just keeps folding his body in half. This is one of the most amazing kills I've seen in any of these movies. Like, there was so much build-up, but I just had no idea how this kill would look. I had no idea where it was going. It's the first time one of these I've had to like sort of look away because it was just so brutal, but it's so amazing. And this is why I would never, ever want this to happen to me. Almost immediately after the MRI incident, the brother who was dying manages to get his EpiPen and stop the allergic reaction. Unfortunately, before he can get out of there, a giant loose screw from the vending machine, the one they got the Reese's cup from, is pulled out by the MRI magnet. It launches at him and it goes directly through the brother's head, screwing his brains all around. That is disgusting. This one is awesome too, though. I do enjoy that as well. Stephanie, her mum, and her brother go to the old shack that her granny was living at in order to hide from death. I mean, they do know that's where she died, right? Like, why do you think it's gonna be any better now? Like, I don't know. As they're leaving the hospital, they see the goddamn log truck again. This is becoming ridiculous. The Final Destination 2 logs are becoming the goddamn Pizza Planet truck of this franchise. As expected, they go to the shack and the bus fucking crashes. Mother and brother get out, but Stephanie is stuck in the RV by way of her seatbelt jamming. I mean, can't she just wriggle out? I guess I don't know how tough that seatbelt is. Oh, and did you think that there wasn't enough explosions in this one? That's no problem. The cabin fucking explodes. Brother's okay, but Mum isn't looking too good. She says it's okay though. She says, just go and help your sister. I'll be alright. She's then immediately bisected by a falling sign. It reminds me of the cherry picker from Final Destination 3. Not much to say about it though. Anyways, don't worry about Stephanie because her brother managed to get her out of the RV, and even better, she actually died. This means that brother can revive her and officially break the chain of death. Yippee, yippee, yippee! Or did they? We fast forward to a week later. Stephanie's brother is getting ready for prom, and Stephanie is so happy for her little bro. One of the adults there is a doctor, and is like, yeah, you know she didn't die, right? Like, she probably just blacked out. I love how they needed a doctor to explain that to them. Like, they were so confident that Stephanie had actually passed on briefly. They didn't for once think that, maybe she just blacked out. You know, maybe she just passed out and she wasn't actually, dead. Anyways, as expected, a train comes off its tracks and chases these two down. Stephanie and her brother run like hell, and they just avoid being crushed by the train. It is so close, but they cheat death once again. They've gotten a couple close calls, but they finally do. What? Huh? Wait a second! Back out! It's logs! Logs have returned! Good God Almighty! Logs! The fucking logs from Final Destination 2 drive over the train and squash the siblings like snails. I can't lie to you, I really did not like this. It just really felt like, hey, you remember the old movie? References, yeah! Somehow logs returned. But then I thought about it and I'm like, it's Final Destination, Who really gives a fuck? So, you're alright with me, logs. You should do this with Saw. I actually really want to do this with Saw. All the kills in Saw are a bit elaborate though, and they're not really like everyday situations. You don't just end up in a pit of heroin needles, do you? That being said though, I do plan to make some sort of Saw video, whether it's ranking all the kills or something else. It would actually be quite a new experience for me because I've only watched the first two. Ultimate Edge dropping this in 2 parts. The video actually was gonna be one long video and it was gonna cover Final Destination 1 through 5 only. But then I knew the new one was coming out and I really wanted to include that as well, so I made the decision to put it into 2 parts. I actually almost didn't release the second part because I sort of lost confidence in the whole thing and I really didn't think people would enjoy it. So thanks for all the comments because it actually gave me a ton of motivation to actually finish this part. Saying Tommy Lee's cover of The Love Train is one of the worst covers ever is actual blasphemy. No, I'm your 400 subs, by the way. You'll probably forget about me, though. Somehow, I don't think I will. This person just said not true. Like, that's it. No context. I want to know what they're talking about. Still from the movies ain't gonna cut it. Show actual video clips like the rest of them do. Okay, well, one thing. Who's the rest of them? That could be anybody. And secondly, well, actually, it's 2 secondlies. Secondly, one, I actually like just doing the stills. As David Lynch would say, it leaves room for your mind to dream. And it means that more focus can go towards the script and the voiceover, because I have to try a bit harder to articulate what's actually going on in the scene. Also, copyright claims. I don't want to be fucking claimed. I remember when I was 14 and I uploaded my first YouTube video that got views, and that shit got copyright claimed immediately. I doubt it would get claimed, but, better safe than sorry. You know what, just because of this comment, next time I do anything like this, I'm not even going to include stills from the movie. It's just going to be crude drawings of the frames that I've done in 2 seconds, so you don't even get to see what it actually looks like. And you know what, the video after that? Blank fucking screen. That's right, no visuals at all. 50 minutes, blank fucking screen. So this was in reference to me saying that a plane crash was a pretty extraordinary thing. Not an extraordinary thing. Helicopter crashed into a plane at Reagan International Airport in January of this year. You know what? I was gonna be a real asshole and be like, fuck this guy. But you know what? I looked up the plane crashes that have taken place in 2025, and we're at like over 50. That's terrible. I really wish it wasn't that way. And I really wish I wasn't so ignorant as to how common plane crashes are. Turns out there's a show all about it, called Air Crash Investigation. And that show has its own subreddit. Look at the rules. Don't be a jackass. Don't request episode links. Try to avoid making duplicate posts. Yeah, you know when you and your friend just accidentally at the same time post about the same plane crash? Don't post photographs or videos of bodies. When creating posts or memes about a recent episode, use the spoiler tag. What's there to be spoiled about? Huh? Do not post unrelated, not safe for work material. With plane crashes? I wonder. Rule number 10 is no low effort content. I mean, what do we consider low effort on r/Air Crash Investigation? Also, Air Crash Investigation has been running since 2003. 25 seasons. I mean, I guess you don't really run out of material. Finally, someone who also likes Grill Guy's death. His arm landing dead center on the table is so iconic. Exactly, this death is like fucking top tier. Best is Dennis from Final Destination 5 since it was instant and painless, which is ironic because his premonition death was arguably the worst. I won't lie, this comment actually inspired me to split those deaths into two because it was just so brutal. Thank you for the shout out to the Emmerdale pileup, genuinely more badass than a lot of stunts I've seen in big budget blockbusters. This is what I'm saying, the direction of that shit is amazing. I didn't even watch any of the soaps, but I've watched all the crashes. I show everyone I meet the crashes. There's a good compilation on YouTube of all the Emmerdale crashes, all the Corrie crashes. Don't sleep on the Hollyoaks ones, they're pretty good. I'm telling you now, I'm gonna make a video on those soap crashes. It's gonna get no views and it's gonna be the best thing you've ever seen. I'm pretty sure that's not a light switch cord, but instead a clothes drying / shower curtain hanging cord. The wire spool goes into one wall of the tub. The metal piece at the end of the wire can be locked into a hook on the other side of the tub, and you can hang wet clothes over the tub to drip dry or hang a shower curtain to keep the water from splashing out of the tub. If it was a light switch cord, the other end of the cable would have gone straight up. There would have been no force pulling him up the cord, and he wouldn't have had to fight so much to get out. You know what, even though it's a long comment, I actually completely agree, I fucked up there. I don't know why I was so convinced it was a light switch cord. You literally see him hanging up the clothes. Growing up, I used to have a light switch cord like that. I'd always be pulling it, and one day it just came out. And from that day on, I never forgot about light switch cords. Seemingly to the point that it blinded me of other thin, cord-like objects. But thanks for the comment, because genuinely, I got that wrong. Fun fact, Final Destination 3 actually inspired me to apply for a job operating rides at a local theme park. That was entirely preventable if even a single coworker paid attention to the state of the damn ride. I decided I could do better, and I ended up being great at it. See, this is what I mean. Anyone who knows jack about roller coasters knows that that shit shouldn't have happened, and it wouldn't have happened. I enjoyed the video, so it's not an insult, but you're pretty stoned reading this, right? I'm sober as a rock. I guess that's just how I sound most of the time. I haven't smoked weed since my birthday. Okay, we're gonna do the remaining deaths. We're gonna rank them, we're gonna see where they compare to the other ones, and ultimately have a little reshuffle and see which one is the most preferable and which one is the least preferable. That's why we're all here. Right, so the first one of Final Destination 4 is Speedway. It is the Speedway. I mean, you know, you're gonna get hit by something. You don't really want to be known for dying at a NASCAR event. That's kind of similar to a drive-through. You know, get people at the funeral be like, "Oh, really?" I would mind. Not like that much, but I would. Okay, so it's when the racist gets killed. Not want to be set on fire. I don't want to be blown up. Doesn't. No, it does look pretty bad when he's being dragged across the road. But actually, saying that, you get to go out with a banger playing. Great song. So I don't think I'd mind. The stone that gets launched through the MILF's eye after she gets her hair cut. I mean, really, what can you say about that one? It seems pretty instantaneous. It's very similar to the tube going through Lady's head. It's pretty lame. That's really why I'm not too hot on it. It is a bit lame. I'd mind. You know, her kids are like traumatized. You know, they've just seen their mother be shot through the eye with a pebble or like a smooth stone by a nonchalant gardener. You know, yet another manslaughter charge that's definitely not going to be filed in this universe. I would mind above logs. You know, for this one, I'm thinking of the kids. Come on. Now this one... Oh, I just desperately want to know how it feels. I'm not like in a weird way. You know, I'm not some freak who like is craving death. It's not like that. But if I was gonna die, it's like I need to know what it's like to be Chunks. I know when I was going through all the kills, I did say that this is less sort of less so than the barbed wire fence, but not much less. Not much less. Let's put it. God, it looks painful though. I'm gonna put it there. Might need to change that one. Might not. Okay, so the next one is the pool drainer disembowelment. This one is pretty brutal. I would really object to this one. Yeah, this one. What are we thinking? I'm thinking absolutely not. It's a really bad way to go. Quite humiliating too. Also, like, no one can, you're at the bottom, everyone's swimming above you, no one can help you, no one can see you and like grab you out. I don't even know if human strength could pull you out of that one, because the drain looks like it's some sort of super powered, military grade draining system. Yeah, just awful. I'd probably say that's worse than most of these, actually. Just above the tanning beds. Look, I'm not an expert on disembowelment, so I don't exactly know how it works, but I do factor that he would be suffering for a bit less time than the sunbathing girls. That being said, I don't know. It's the cinema explosion. Okay, so I don't even know what to say about this one. Like, I actually don't. I have no, like, what do I even say about it? Oh, Max died watching a movie. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Depends on which movie I'm watching. It's sort of like The Flag. It's like, if it was, it feels like, 2001, A Space Odyssey, something like a real classic. I'd enjoy that. Depends on the movie, but for now I'm gonna say wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind it, especially because in the movie it's a 3D movie, so it would be pretty funny if you thought shit was gonna jump out at you and then lo and behold a piece of metal comes and stabs you in the chest. Then it's the escalator shortly after that. That's a bad one. That's a bad one, getting grinded up like that. I'm sure we've all had irrational thoughts about escalators grinding us up. I was always told not to like put my shoes too close to the where it ends, like the little sort of entrance way, because you'll get sucked up and killed. I'd say absolutely not. I wouldn't want that to happen at all. I feel like I've got that engine that mauls the guy's head way too low. I'm gonna just preemptively bump that down to absolutely not. I think that would be awful, and it's the drive-through one, so that's embarrassment central. That's peak embarrassment. Oh, and then there's the 18-wheeler that gets him in the coffee shop. Pretty indifferent to that. At least I get to enjoy a nice drink. Probably take you out pretty instantly too, so I wouldn't say it would be too much suffering. Then we move swiftly on to Final Destination. What one's the inciting? Oh, it's the bridge. Oh, how could I forget the awesome bridge collapse scene? It's just a bit boring, isn't it? Like, it's a bit boring. It's in that sort of category of the train, hospital explosion, anything like that. Very much like I have no feelings on it whatsoever. It wouldn't be like the worst way to go, but also there's no glory in it. There's nothing funny about it. It's just It's boring. However, the asphalt is probably one of the worst ways to go. That is definitely going in absolutely not. He gets like, it's the funniest shit, and it's so unnecessary. Like, he's not a nice guy, but he doesn't do enough to deserve that. Like, not too much suffering, but when when you are suffering, that shit looks horrible. I can't lie. So I'm definitely worse than the elevator. I'd need to experience firsthand being covered in boiling hot asphalt just to sort of more appropriately gauge this. But I'm gonna put it above the disembowelment, just because, like, at least you're in a pool, you know, you're having fun. It's a summer day. Who we got now? It's the... I think it's the is that the first girl in this movie? Whatever. We got the acupuncture guy. Oh shit, no, it's the gymnast. Yeah, this one is bad. This one is really bad, and it looks really uncomfortable. Yeah, it's just, all in all, really... Ugh, she, like, crunches, she folds in. It's very instantaneous. That's, like, the only saving grace of this. Yeah, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. Yeah, I ain't about that. I'm not about that gymnastic accident kind of life. Definitely at the top, though, just because it is so quick. What is the deal with acupuncture? Does acupuncture work? Like, is it actually, you know, as therapeutic as they try and make it seem? I've never done it. Yeah, I mean, you gotta remember, he goes through all of that stuff. Like, he gets the needles rammed into him. You know, he falls off the bed, as well as being crushed by a Buddha. It's all in all pretty bad. He deserves it. He deserves it because he's a real asshole. But it's pretty bad if it was me. Yeah, I'm not. It's definitely like the very top of absolutely not. Actually, I'll just put it below the gymnast. But yeah, not fun one. I think Final Destination 5 has some of the most brutal kills of the entire series. Which is a big part of why I like it so much. Laser eye surgery. Okay. Look, no questions asked. This is one of the dead bottom last, like one of the worst. Whenever I hear someone is getting laser eye surgery, I'm always like, oh my god, you're gonna perish, you're gonna be tortured under that thing, because your doctor is gonna leave and leave the machine on and let it go over its recommended wattage. Really, fuck that doctor. Fuck that doctor, man. He is, you know, guilty of gross negligence. Yeah, it's one of the worst. I mean, she gets lasered in the eye, she puts her hand over, doesn't even do anything because the laser goes through it, and then she falls out a fucking window. Yeah, terrible, absolutely awful. She has to rip herself from the clasp. It's so bad. I think I remember that film coming out, and I remember it being advertised. I wasn't old enough to see it in the cinema, but I remember seeing that they were doing a laser eye thing, and I was like horrified. I was like, if I ever watch this, you know, I'm gonna be traumatized. You know, I had real worries and reservations about this. Next one is the Hook, where the guy gets... Oh shit, did I forget the ambulance from 4? Oh, well... I don't care. Like... I guess the irony's really gonna carry that one, so I'll put it top of indifferent. Yeah, back to 5. There is the Hook. Not a good way to go. Not a good way to go. Very embarrassing. Workplace death. We don't want that. So the Hook's immediately followed by the the wrench. He gets wrenched. Pretty lame way to go. But in comparison to the way he goes at the start of the movie in the premonition, it is, you know, that is a blessing. Put it there. It's a cool visual when you see his head that's like got a wrench lodged in it. I'm surprised the wrench didn't go through his head. don't know what the chances are that look, we need Mythbusters back. The fact that these questions aren't being answered is just really getting to me. Oh, what is next? It's the okay, so yeah, next it would be the gun and the skewer, which I've already addressed. I'm not counting those, they are murders. Yeah, I'm not including those two, so we'll just skip straight to the second plane crash. Not so much like, because obviously the original crash is just, you know, if I was counting the crash that the main character Sam goes through, I'd just be talking about the exact same thing. So what I am talking about is the where it falls through the roof at the end of the movie as like the last, you know, gotcha, as the last little gag. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. You know, would you rather be engulfed in flames within the plane crash, or would you rather be crushed by the falling plane debris? It's a great question, hard one to answer. He was at some sort of like wake. You know, he was at a celebration, so maybe he had a few drinks in him. Couldn't have been too bad. Would I rather be crushed by a plane or die in the plane crash? I might have to come back to that one. I'm going to put it next to the plane for now, because either way I'm not really too infused about it. But I'd like to get a definitive answer on that. Okay, and that puts us at the... Yeah, that is putting us at... Oh fuck, have I forgotten about the bath? Oh my god, have I forgotten about the bath? Yeah, the bath from Final Destination, fuck, that would be lame as hell. Yep. But now we're on to Final Destination 6, Final Destination Bloodlines. This one I've been excited to talk about because there's some really good deaths in here. First one, though, is a pretty lame one. Good in the story, like a cool death, you know, for character motivations. But yeah, it's a pretty lame way to go. Impaled by a weather vane through the head is very similar to the ones that we've already had. I'm indifferent to it for now. Next one we have the lawnmower. Really, oh, that's terrible. Actually, I didn't. When I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, that's not too bad. But then thinking about it now, he steps on the glass, so he's got like, you know, an open wound in his foot. It definitely hurts like a bitch, and then he gets sliced in the head, just like the engine from the Final Destination 3 drive-through. Garbage truck. Ooh, that's a bad one. That is a really bad one. Like being quick, because it's not very quick. It's like quite slow. Like she gets like it's like yeah. Definitely no, would not want that one. Okay, so now it is the God. This next one is supremely awful. The MRI kill from Bloodlines is incredible. I literally I loved watching that. It gave me the same, like similar feeling to the laser eye, the tanning beds, stuff like that. It's really a question of, is it worse than those two? Which I'm really not sure about. It looks incredibly painful. You know, you're getting basically like, it's bad. It's really bad. Yeah, it's terrible. You get folded like, I'll leave it there for now. Just really not sure. It's hard when you get to that level. But shortly followed by that, a much more palatable one, I think, is the spring. I mean, I still wouldn't want it. But like, it's comparatively, I think it's a lot easier. Still not good though. Probably the bottom of would mind, because I definitely would mind it. Like, don't get it twisted, but maybe not. Maybe not as much as some of these. Then we got the sign, which is a pretty easy one. I am pretty indifferent to it. It's pretty lame. But, you know, wouldn't be that painful. I'd have rather died in the explosion, if I'm honest. But then we got the... Final kill of the movie. Everyone's favorite, logs 2.
My oldest logs!
What can you really say about this one? Should I even put it on the list? It's literally, it's the same thing, just more ridiculous. I'm just gonna put it right next to logs. Like, I think I would mind logs 2 because there's like the expectation that you're not gonna die. You know, like they thought they were in the clear. So that would be annoying. It would make it more annoying than the initial one. You know, splitting hairs with this. Some would say I'm doing that with this entire list. Let's work the way from the bottom up to the top, and then we'll find out which is most preferable. I have a feeling I know what it's going to be, but hold out for it. Is the beds worse than the laser eye surgery? I'm gonna say the tanning beds are still the worst. You know, that they are really like neck and neck. Like there's no, you know, the difference between them is so minimal. Like it really, they basically haven't joined last place. But yeah, I would just give the tanning beds the edge, just because burning is like just a terrible way to go. There's some forgiveness in letting her. She suffered greatly, but at least it's then just like, okay, we're done. You know, we don't know how long they were in there just burning away. It's pretty frightening stuff. Is the MRI worse than laser eye? I would actually say yeah. I'd actually say, you know, immediately. As soon as I saw the MRI, I was like, this is one of the worst ways you could possibly die in this universe. Yeah, I mean, once again, it's only slightly worse than the laser eye in my opinion, but it's like, that is, but I still got to put it somewhere. Is the laser eye, yeah, laser eye is worse than the asphalt. Yeah, asphalt, is it worse than the disembowelment? Ooh, good question. Disembowelment would not be fun. I think disembowelment would probably be worse, because there's nothing worse than like being underwater and thinking you're gonna drown. That's already pretty bad, but you're also getting your guts sucked out through your asshole. Yeah, I wouldn't like that at all. Is the asphalt worse than the... Is worse than the kitchen from the first movie? Yeah, I'd say so. Kitchen worse than the elevator? You gotta think about how bad the kitchen is from that first movie. Like, the computer screen explodes, goes into her neck, and then she falls over, fucking oven blows up. She gets stabbed by, like, a knife, maybe two. Yeah, like, it's really bad. It lasts forever. Yeah, I'd say, personally, that's worse. I think that's worse than the elevator. The nails through the head in the what are we talking about? The hardware store. I'd say that's worse than the elevator too. Escalator, I'd say, is worse than the elevator as well. You know, that one. Oh, it's horrible. I'd probably say the escalator is worse than a lot of those, to be honest. I'd probably say it's worse than the kitchen, worse than the asphalt. It really is hard to judge how much it hurts being covered from head to toe in boiling hot asphalt concrete mix. Escalator is pretty bad. Engine cutting up your head, I'd say that's like just a bit less bad than the nails through your head. That seems very painful and like it prolongs. You know, I think the engine one would be worse, but for a much shorter amount of time. Yeah, I'd say the lawnmower is worse than both of those. And the nail gun, all I'm doing there is, you know, I'm just dying at work. You know, it's embarrassing, but I'm not ruining anyone's day except my own. Garbage truck, the garbage truck's worse. Acupuncture, probably worse. Gymnastics, I mean, once again, she gets crunched, so it's bad. I'm not saying it's not bad, but she's dead immediately. She is like gone. There's no light in her eyes as soon as she hits the ground. So while it would be awful, I just don't know if it would be the worst. I still think the elevator's not as bad. Bit surprised of how high the elevator rose, because I thought that was like one of the worst from the second movie. But anyway, moving on to Woodmind. Is the spring worse than the shower? The shower really is quite bad though. Like the suffering is I hate the thought of choking, you know? What I'll do, I'm gonna move the elevator up to, because I do think it's in sort of a different tier, and I'm gonna put it at the very bottom of there. I'm gonna put the shower next to it, similar sort of suffering, but I think ultimately you're just gonna pass out. You don't get your you don't get your head lopped off, which is kind of extreme. Spring, I'm gonna say that's worse than the hook. Yeah, I'm gonna say the hook's worse than the ladder. There's some comedy in being crushed by a log, I think, that just isn't there with the ladder. I would mind being crushed by a bath. Probably prefer it over being crushed by a log. But he's already in pain. It would just be insult to injury, you know? I'll put that below logs. Rock through the eye. I mean, it's over quick, but that would piss me off. That would really piss me off. That would piss me off more than the logs, I gotta be honest. That would piss me off more than the bathtub. Them two, like the ladder and the stone, they're basically the same death, you know. Pretty sure they go through the same eye. I don't like eye stuff. I don't like eye stuff, so I'm gonna put the hook above them. The gym, did I really hate the gym that much? I don't remember hating it that much. I wouldn't mind. At least people will know me as like a, you know, a healthy person. There's no shame in that. Going out in the gym. And the NASCAR, you know, I wouldn't want that to happen either. Similar to the logs, really. It's just stuff getting launched at you. Like ridiculously heavy stuff getting launched at you. And immediately taking your life. But, yeah. Would I want to be bisected by the sign or crushed in the gym? I'm moving the gym way up because I don't know what I was thinking there. He is definitely going. Because even though I'm indifferent to it, he still goes out like a bitch. Hospital sucks. Weather vane, I wouldn't like that. I would not like that. Train is just boring. I mean, but it's not too bad. It's not too painful. 18-wheeler is immediate, and you're having coffee. You know, probably get a nice meal while you're perishing. So that one wouldn't be too bad in my opinion. In my humble opinion. Flag is just bad because I think there's also some prolonged suffering there because you might not die immediately. You're probably gonna bleed out. You know, it's not gonna be too good. It looks like she dies immediately, but would that really happen? It goes through her stomach, so I don't know. I want to come back to this like in a couple of years when I've studied biology and actually like have a better understanding of the effect that these things would have on your body. Mark my words, that will happen. But I wouldn't want the pipe. I'm completely indifferent to the bridge. Completely indifferent to the bridge. Don't care. Nah. Okay, big question. Big question. Dying engulfed in the flames of a plane, or dying being crushed by a plane? I'd take being crushed. Gym or ambulance? Once again, the irony here is doing a lot of legwork. I'll leave it there. I feel like that's the place it needs to be. Now onto Woodmind. Ah, shit. I mean, the movie Explosion is so funny. It's so funny, and you'd sat down, you know, as much shit as I gave it, you know, as part of the film, in real life, if that was how I died, I mean, come on, that's incredible. Imagine if I was watching Final Destination in the cinema, and then it explodes. Like, that would be the greatest way to go. It's going up, for sure. I actually think that's preferable. You know what? I'm making a bold claim. I'm making a very bold claim here. But that is one of the best ways you can go out in a comfy chair. You know, especially if it's a cinema with like reclining chairs. Most cinemas serve like beer now. Like, you probably have a great meal. And then in the comfort of your seat, just that would be great. That would be amazing. The Sictor wouldn't mind though. I feel like the chunks should go next to each other, but ultimately I think the way it happens in the Final Destination is, I would want that less. The chunks in Final Destination 2 seem a lot less just brutal, really. And it's also like he gets turned into 3 clean segments, like head, middle, like head, torso, legs. Like it's very clean. The guy who gets turned to chunks in the Final Destination is like, it's just like part of his sort of middle, like his abdomen, just gets fucked up by those, by that fence. It's not fun. Not fun at all. Bus. Yeah, I mean, you still wouldn't mind. You wouldn't mind being hit by a bus, but really, it has none of the comedic value that the ambulance had, does it? Am I undervaluing the ambulance? You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna put it there. Cause yeah, it's basically the ambulance, but less funny. Now, obviously, War's classic song "Why Can't We Be Friends" is doing a lot of legwork there. But it's a great song. It's a great song, and Smash Mouth covered it in 1997, which you should all listen to. I'm gonna stick with that one. Yeah, I don't mind. And the thing is, the guy gets set on fire, but he's very quickly blown up, so he doesn't have to suffer for too long. You know, it's not good. It's not good, but you know, it's all right. Like, roller coaster, once again, really fun way to go. Just being launched out. What's not to love about that one? Glass pane, still incredible. But if I'm honest, I'm probably gonna put it below the that one, the big 3: the cinema explosion, the barbecue, and the sign, the undisputed GOAT of this franchise. Okay, so someone commented and raised a great point about the sign, which just added to its legend. You know, they pointed out that the way that the sign even gets set up in the movie is by Carter, the bully. He saves Alex. You know, that's so you go out dying as a hero. You know, it's fun. You go woo. You go whoosh. It's great. Like, there's no downside to it, in my opinion. But the cinema, the more I talk about the cinema, the more I really love it. I think what's keeping the cinema down is that it's like, it could vary how, like, you're gonna actually die. Like, you might, the lady who's adamant at staying in the movie, in the Final Destination, she gets like metal through her, you know, nails. It doesn't look fun. It looks like there still potentially could be a lot of suffering there. You know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump the roller coaster up to Preferable, because I really do think that's one of the best ways. But I am going to leave it below the movie. And, you know, I'm leaving it there. I'm leaving it there. The sign is the best way to go. Like, no matter how much I think about it, no matter how much thought I give it, the sign is just so fun. You go out as a hero. And it's just, you know, a visual treat for everyone around. Yeah, you'll traumatize your friends, but they also are gonna die soon. Alex gets killed by a falling brick. I didn't mention that in the video, but in Final Destination 2, they just say, yeah, Alex died off screen. Yeah, got hit by a brick. So yeah, that's it. The sign from Final Destination 1 is the most preferable way to go. You know, thank you everyone for watching. If you've made it this far, then, you know, you're a real fan. You know, you're a true fan. You know, I don't really know what I'm gonna do next. Hopefully it'll be something fun. Hopefully it'll be something everyone enjoys. It might be something similar to this. You know, just leave suggestions. I'd love to know what you might want to see. But thank you, and take care, and have a good night.